Hi everyone, I am Janvi and I have Jainam with me here. I've been asking a lot of people to help me make a video on IGNOU, a master's degree in psychology, and he's one of those people who volunteered and is very passionate about also sharing this knowledge because a lot of it is not out there. A little bit about him, he has been working for organic content creation and digital marketing for 4 years now, and he started working immediately after 12th grade, and he has been working with influencers across the world, and he's voluntarily working with an organization, Samaritans, for which is a suicide prevention helpline, and he's very passionate about that. We'll get into IGNOU and a lot of details about how to get admission, which website to go to, who should choose to go to IGNOU, and basically what to expect in the courses and what options do you have. The first question is, what got you interested and why did you choose to do a degree from here?
Sure. So IGNOU was one of those paths for me because, as Janvi shared before, I've been working since I was in 12th grade, and I'm deeply into marketing and influencer marketing, digital marketing, that sort of thing. These things don't really have a degree structure in India, and I just wanted to work. Even like today, I was looking for options where I can still study, I can still not miss on my masters, but I can work side by side. And IGNOU was one of the most recommended universities because it has an online distance learning program where you can pick any of the degrees that you're really looking for, you're really curious about, and you can simultaneously work where you just have to appear for exams and get the degree once you pass the exams for that. I had a very keen interest in psychology because ironically, most of our work has any, like, even the minimum bit of psychology in that, because every day we're dealing with humans, every day we're working for humans, and it's so valuable to really get to know the fundamentals of how the human mind works, and just like very interesting concepts there. So IGNOU was one of the answers for me where I can work, and I can work like tirelessly during the day, but I can also give my master's and get my degree in something that I really love.
Thank you. That's amazing. So it seems like because a lot of people who are very passionate about psychology, but in different fields, have also been reaching out to me, like teachers or yeah, HR professionals, or even like yourself. So
So
this leads me to the next question is, who do you think generally, you must be having a classroom or like people who are enrolled with you, who are the people who generally choose IGNOU, and who is which population is IGNOU ideal for?
that's a great question. Uh, so I've had the privilege of knowing so many people from my IGNU classroom, and funnily enough, almost everyone, is a working professional. Almost everyone has their primary job as something else, and they've selected IGNU just to add an extra layer, firstly, to their own understanding of the field, and secondly, to apply it probably to their work as well.
Mhm.
So I've had the demography, if you're asking, it's usually around 30s to 40s, people who are in their 30s to 40s, and people who are working professionals, and people who just want that added layer of competency, not just in their work, but just who are very curious to learn something. And uh, yeah, for me, most of my classmates, they, as you mentioned, they're in HR, they're teachers, they're in consulting, they're CEOs. Uh, IGNU is really for anyone and everyone who just wants to um, have an added understanding of a certain subject, and it really enhances that, and it also provides you with a degree after 2 years. And most of the IGNOU studying is self-learning. It's not like you're gonna have lectures or you're gonna have um, these Monday to Friday places where you're gonna meet. No, it's very flexible. It's got a lot to do with self-learning. There are practicals there, but that's all the connect there is.
Okay, so these practicals, are these online or do you have to go?
So there are offline practicals which happen in your study center. What are study centers? So once you enroll in IGNOU in any degree, depending on where your location is, because IGNOU is pan-India, and if, for example, you're in Mumbai, like I am, uh, you get to choose out of three study centers. One is Hansraj College in Khar, one is in Sumaya, there's one more, but you can get to choose whichever study center is more closer to you or more convenient to you. And literally anyone from India can enroll and find their closest study centers so that they can access that. And the study centers will be the place where you get to give your exams and where you get to meet for your practicals as well.
Mhm.
Practicals are 100% compulsory to attend, but they only happen during weekends. So even if you are a working professional, you can go for practicals, and there are not like the frequency isn't a lot. Again, what I am aware, for each semester there are only four practicals, uh, and that's the maximum. So yeah, it's like 4 weekends that you'll have to go there for an hour or two just to finish your practicals. And in some courses, practicals are not mandatory; they're optional. So there's additional flexibility there as well.
Okay, that's interesting. Maybe in psychology must be one of those courses, I'm guessing, where practicals might be compulsory. Is it? Or is it not?
They are,
Okay.
yeah, they're mandatory. And so yeah, I think there's practicals and there's assignments. Uh, Assignments are one of those things that you have to keep in mind, because if you're not, it's similar to your school system. If you're not passing in your internals, you'll not advance to your externals. And yeah, assignments is something that you can do from your home. You're given what the assignments are beforehand, and you have enough time to write them and submit them. But if I'm saying, like, if you're a working professional watching this video and you're really trying to understand, okay, what's the most time sensitive thing there is with IGNOU, it's probably only practicals. And in some courses, even that is flexible. So all in all, it's a very flexible degree or course where you can give time when you have time.
Thank you. Yeah, and I know that you're only 2 weeks into the course, so I'm not going to ask you a lot of detailed questions of how things are, and I'm going to make a separate video with someone that you shared a contact of.
Of
So
course.
people who are wondering about what's going on in a practical or what do you study and how is that experience, I think that's going to be in a separate video. Here I'm going to focus more on the application process and what, like, an overview of that. Yeah. So so in, like, we'll discuss more about who can consider getting into IGNOU more after knowing more about the course. I was wondering, can you share also a little bit about what options do people have, like in your second year? Like in my first year, for example, in my college first year masters, we had like a general psychology classroom, and then we had like one batch of clinical and one batch of counseling. How is it for you?
Sure. So even in IGNOU, it's a very similar pattern that the other colleges have. In your first year, it's a very general class. There's no divisions there. It's general psychology that you study. But in the second year, you're given an option to choose between counseling psychology, clinical psychology, and industrial psychology. So you can specify what you want to learn, and it depends what you really want to do because there's a ton of things you can do as a psychologist, and it helps to get that clarity beforehand so you know what you're aiming for.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, there's three of them. As I said, clinical psychology, counseling psychology, and industrial psychology.
Okay. Thank you. And do you have to declare it right in the beginning of your first year, or can you choose, right before you get into second year?
So you have to choose in the beginning of the second year. So in the first year, you can still wander around. You can
Okay.
uh, play with the portion a bit, and but after the first year, that's like at the beginning of the second year, you have to declare. And unfortunately, you can't switch after your second year begins.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to add that IGNOU only gives you minimum of 2 years. There's a maximum uh, time that you can take the course, and that is, if I'm not wrong, for 4 years for psychology. So if you find that uh, the pace is very hectic or it's difficult for you to study all of the subjects, you can give three papers in the start, then three papers, then three papers. You can really break it down and you can take your sweet time with it. And 4 years is the maximum time you can uh, give your exams and get the degree that you want.
That's very interesting. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think because a lot of people are also confused about what does a clinical psychologist do, what does a counseling psychologist do. I have made a video on clinical and counseling, so for people who want to know the difference between those two, especially in India, and then also I'm going to be making one with industrial psychology, so people can know what is their kind of a field to choose from. So that's also interesting. I also wanted to ask if people want to enroll, where do they go? Can you show us which website you went on and like just briefly show how to go on to get the admission?
Sure, of course. I'll just be sharing my screen here and uh, let me know if it's visible.
Yes.
Perfect. So the main website that you're supposed to go is ignu.ac.in.
Mhm.
This is the only, I'd say, real website because there are many fakes out there. So please be aware. Sorry. Uh, ignu.ac.in. And here, when you go to register online, you can click on fresh admission and you can see which admission cycle is going on. As
Mm.
of now, it's January 23 admission cycle where you get to uh, you get to uh, sign up from your account and login application process is as easy as um, just uploading all of your uh, details, your identification, your degrees that you've had before, just like in a real eh, just like how a college's procedure would be, but everything is online and you just have to wait before they mail you your ID number if it's approved. If there are any concerns of some images not being okay or something like that, they shoot a mail to you saying that, hey, this is something that you need to re-upload. And so that's very helpful. The entire process is online and the entire process can be done again just coming from ignu.ac.in,
Yeah.
going into register online and then fresh admission.
Thank you. That's really helpful. So this the last date for so admission cycle of is this the admission again like from June to is it June to June? Is that how the academic year goes, or how is that?
um, I'd say it's confusing for me as well because what's happened is recently I had enrolled in uh, July batch of 22 and we've got our uh, induction 2 weeks ago because it was supposed to end at 30th July, but
Mhm.
it got prolonged till November 30th.
Alright.
So we're still unsure of how big an opening admission window is. Usually there's just two windows. One is in July, another one is in January. And I think that's the most reliable uh, dates to uh, go for an application.
Thank you. No, that is also really helpful. So it happens twice a year, and
Of
people
course.
can be, and then again, with COVID, things have changed. So the deadlines and things may have changed. And you can feel free to share as much as you want for this. The next question is the fees affordable? What is the fee structure like
Sure,
for yeah.
sure. So it's really affordable. I had to pay uh I'd say roughly around 15,000 for 2 years, which is very affordable considering all the different MA in psychology courses or colleges out there. If you're if you get to uh go in a government aided college, only then it's as close to this fee. So it's close to 15,000. Uh, a caveat is that it's around, so if you're prolonging your degree from 2 years and more, you'd have to pay extra fees. And I'm not sure of how much it can scale up to, but uh, the thumb rule is that it's probably 7,000 each year by the way that you start till the way you end. And uh, you get a 15% discount if you choose to um, get your notes online. If you pay the full fees, you can get your notes hard copies shipped directly to you. But if you're not choosing that and you just want online notes, you get a 15% discount, which quick maths I did. It's better to get them printed because IGNOU also takes roughly 4 months to ship notes from IGNOU headquarters to your home. And it's more reliable to go with your own notes or have online access to notes. Uh, eGyan is the website for notes where the notes are accessible to everyone, even if you're not studying in IGNOU or even if you don't have um, you have not taken an admission in IGNOU. It's very valuable for some people to firstly see the notes, see how the um, how the degree is structured, how the course is structured, and then take a decision. So if that is something that provides you comfort, you can go on eGyan Kosh and check the notes which are uploaded there.
Yeah, thank you for that. My next question was going to be around textbooks. So do you have textbooks or do you only study from notes?
So IGNOU has six papers and IGNOU has six, I'd say, textbooks, like one textbook each for each paper. And these textbooks are, uh, for one semester, they're around 300 pages big. Uh, yes, IGNOU has their own textbooks, which is again something you can either uh, get from IGNOU as hard copies or you can download as soft copies for absolutely free. And there are many accompanying um, publishers who have the same content but in a simpler language. So, like how it was in your schools where you got Vikas digests, which was just fun and smaller language, smaller words. So there are many books with different publishers similarly, but yeah, IGNOU has their own textbooks for each paper.
Wow, that's really interesting. I know this is very last minute. Do you have like a syllabus kind of a thing that is available for from IGNOU, or like what are the courses? Do you have that on your computer, on this computer, that can be shared, or just, or if you remember
Yeah,
in.
yeah, I do, and I think that's a good thing about IGNOU is that most of the information is just like available on their website. So this is the way that the course is structured, and you can see that this entire field is the first year, and after that we can choose any. Let me just zoom it out. Yeah. So this is the first year, and below which you have the categories, and you can choose one group.
Wow. This is for the whole of second year, right?
Yeah, and it really mirrors the way it's structured with all the different colleges as well.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, it's very similar in that way. And the content is accessible online if anyone wants to check it out. There's this website called IGNOU. I'll just
Yeah.
and here you can just open you can just like search MAPC, that's the code for IGNOU, that's MA in psychology, and you can check the first year content. These are all the books that you need.
Just out of
You
my
can, of
curiosity, can you show the
course,
lifespan
sure,
psychology?
sure.
Oh
There are
wow.
four
This,
blocks,
um,
and in each block there are uh, 4 units as well. So I'll just open up this if that's okay. And
yeah, I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, we studied developmental psychology as well. And we had, I mean, different university. Mumbai University generally has up to adolescence, adulthood. We had until death. So but we had it over course of 2 semesters. So
right,
very,
right.
very fascinating. So, and these are like, this has the whole documents, everything available for people to see.
Yeah, it's available for even people who are not in IGNOU yet, and it's accessible to everyone. And for those who get uh, more like I was one of those people who just wanted to know what I'm getting into before I'm signing up for anything. This was a great uh, foresight to know, okay, what will come, what are some things that I've already learned, and what are some things that are fascinating and new to me, so that I can plan accordingly. And that's what helps. So this again can be accessible by anyone. Even IGNOU promotes people to access it, even who are not studying, just to get some exposure. And the thing with this is that most of these studies you'll have to do them as self studies, and you'll have to study on your own. So uh, yeah, that's how this works.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, a lot of this might be also, explanatory, self-explanatory. It's not like, mathematical calculations where you might, so to read it might be, and for a lot of people who might do this might be interested in psychology. So I think it's a great program, and it seems like it's manageable to study by yourself, and this is what you study throughout the first year. So I think that
Precisely.
is manageable. For a lot of people who might just want a master's degree in psychology. I think, I mean, you've answered most of the questions that people have been asking me, or even I myself had. My last thing would be anything, any message that you would like to give to students or to people who are considering a master's in IGNOU, anything that you like or don't like about, or thing that you think people should know before they enroll into IGNOU. Yeah.
Sure. So one, I think to address the elephant in the room, it's very communication from IGNOU is not the most reliable thing, because you're told to be on your foot, because you can get a message 2 weeks before exams are going to be there. So a general uh, idea is to be prepared and be alert that there will be uncertainty, and there, like all students, everyone studying with you is in the same uncertainty zone, and that that's sort of an inevitability. At the same time, I think what you get out of this course is just something, it directly depends on how much effort you put into it. So if you just if you just want a degree, then yeah, probably it's a very easy way to get this. But if you're truly interested and if you truly want to explore the nuances of human mind and everything that comes with it, this is a great opening window where you get to self-study, you get to do a very tactile experiential learning with yourself, and that's really great. Um, one more thing I'd like to say is that uh, with communication from the college, it can get messy. It can get so that you do not receive any communication from your college, and there's catastrophization going on of sorts. And at the end, you have to compromise a lot in that. So the idea is to just be prepared and be alert that this is the way that things work, and there's very less that we can do about it. But yeah, I think uh, just keep that in mind before you're going forward with IGNOU. If you're a working professional, if you're someone that is really interested and curious in psychology, I really recommend IGNOU because it's very affordable. It's pan India, and it's it's a way where you're not required a lot of time commitment to the college or to the university itself, and whatever you learn helps you at the end. So it's just very flexible to like whatever whoever can fit it in their own goal from the mind in that way.
Thank you so much. That is really helpful. And this video has been, I'm sure people will get a lot of information that they were not aware of through this video. So thank you for that. And I would encourage people to, if you have any, you know, sweet messages for Janam for taking his time out, to post it in the comments. Any appreciation is welcomed. And if you have any other questions, I'm going to make a different video on job prospects after IGNOU. What are the options that people have? And again, the whole question of people who want to become professionals, can they do IGNOU? And if what are the ways in which they can pursue, so things like that is something that I will cover in a separate video. And this was just an introduction to what IGNOU is and admission processes. So that I hope that this has been helpful. But do let me know if you have any other questions so I can make sure to cover it up in the next video on IGNOU. Thank you so much, Janam. If you have anything else that you have to share, yeah, you can feel free to.
Yeah, one big thing that I want people to be aware of, there are many uh, websites that look like IGNOU. There are many people that will target you into giving you pre-written assignments, pre-written uh, answer papers, question papers, everything like that. IGNOU themselves have recognized it, and if you submit that same answer key, they'll debar you. So it's in the first place, it's just not helpful to you to learn. But even if you're looking for a way out, IGNOU has recognized, and usually it's a cash grab with most of these companies trying to turn a profit. So just be aware because it's a lot. You'll get targeted messages. You'll get a lot of these spam advertisements. Uh, a great rule of thumb is to firstly cross check with someone and understand, because there are many legit tuition teachers or people who really are giving tuitions, but except for them, like not putting them into the same category, but there are many websites that look like IGNOU that might ask for your number and spam your number, uh, telling you that they have these key maids assignment keys so that you won't have to write your assignments and you get a good way off. That unfortunately doesn't work. IGNOU recognizes them and penalizes the behavior quite hard. So you will lose your admission and your money as well. So just be aware of that.
Yeah. And and trust me, it's worth studying psychology. So, and if you're enrolling in an IGNOU course, I hope that it is to study, to for your passion for learning and for your passion for psychology, and not to just get that master's behind your name. And I think, yeah, again, unethical means of trying to pass a course, they don't take us anywhere. It's not as helpful as we think it is. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. That is very important.
One very great thing I think is that uh, there's no prerequisite of you doing bachelor's in psychology for you to do master's in psychology. So my own I did bachelor's in sociology as a major, and even then I got to do master's in psychology. So there's no barriers to entry for anyone who's done any different degree in their bachelor's
Mhm.
to enter masters in IGNOU. And I personally think that's very flexible and great. So more people can get that exposure in the first time.
I agree because I mean, when I grew up in the Indian education system, I was told that, oh, you need a full majors in psychology to do a master's. And I see advantages of both. Like there is a huge advantage of having a background throughout. But at the
Yeah.
same time, you know, if you look at among the greatest psychologists, they came from very different backgrounds, be it Pavlov, be it Freud, be it Eric Fromm. A lot of them had were, and we need like diversity because that helps you think in a different way. Sometimes people are like, oh, I studied chemistry, how is that going to help in psychology? Well, it does. Like there is a different perspective to that. And in my PhD program in America,
Mhm.
I have people in my classroom who have zero someone is a bachelor's in theater, for example, or someone can be a bachelor's in anything like in dance,
Yeah,
music, anything, and still do a PhD in counseling psychology. So I think that flexibility is, I mean, it's sometimes beautiful and excellent because you can bring so much uniqueness through different fields to psychology if you're doing that.
exactly. And just I mean, I love to think about how even application of psychology can be so much more useful in all the different fields there are, just like mixing it up that way. For example, if someone has a psychology background but is now doing theater, it's
Mhm.
so easier to write characters and make compelling narratives, politics, just any other thing, because eventually you're gonna run into humans and you have to work with each other and for each other. And personally, I think that psychology is just somewhat of an essential life skill to really enhance whatever it is that you're gonna do in future.
Can you tell me a little more about your passion for suicide prevention?
Of course, suicide prevention is, I mean, suicide is one of the most preventable causes of death that there is. And uh, the awareness with that, according to me, is just so limited, because uh, just this year India has crossed, um, like there's more deaths from suicide than there's deaths from road accidents, which is quite alarming knowing that. there are quite a few road accidents in India. Uh, Suicide prevention is one of the most noble causes to me. I'm really passionate about it, and yeah, I just hope that if anyone goes through a very tough time, they reach out to any of the helplines. Of course, my favorite one, because I'm working there, is Samaritans Mumbai, and you can call there even if you're distressed, depressed, or suicidal. And yeah, it's for me, it's been one of the most fulfilling works there is to do. But yeah, thanks for the great introduction, Janvi.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think, and we're going to make a separate video on suicide prevention helplines. I'm going to make one with Jenna. And I also know about Samaritans. I was invited there right before COVID to do a presentation on Suicide Prevention Day. And I think it does a wonderful job. And I'm grateful to people like you who are working there tirelessly. It's really hard to volunteer for an organization which has a helpline, because people can call you at any times and you're there and available. And yeah, so we're going to make a separate video, and I will put the video in the description once I upload that.
Thanks a lot for having me. That's all from my end. I hope that this helps anyone making a decision going forward, what they want to do and what they don't want to do. Except for that, you can check a lot of information from Janvi's YouTube channel, and that's it for me. Thanks a lot for having
Thank
me.
you, and watch our video on suicide prevention helplines with Jenna.